What do you say, South K. Wild Bassin? Today, we're going to talk about a subject that is talked about quite a bit. How to. We're gonna completely cover the subject of this certain type of bait. The bait we're going to talk about today is drop shotting. A lot of people around like Lake Cumberland area, where I live, Monticello, Kentucky. Uh, a lot of people that I know of, that older people with, they catch fish. Don't get, but a lot of people, shakehead jig is all they throw, and drop shot is really one of those baits that is kind of underrated around here, to my perspective. A drop shot is really a really versatile bait. You can fish it it's basically a Texas rig, but you can fish it up off the floor. You can fish it, you can fish it a little more versatile than just a regular Texas rig. But stay tuned. We're going to show you how to tie it, how to rig a bait on it, when to fish it, where to fish it, how to fish it. We're going to cover the whole basis. So if you want to learn how to fish a drop shot, how to tie one, rig it, stay tuned.
Hello, South KY Bassin fans. Today we've got something pretty special for you. We're going to talk about the drop shot, and I'm going to show you how to tie one up, the rod and reel that we use to fish it with, and then Steven's going to talk to you guys a little about the application of where we fish it, how we fish it, and how to make this bait as effective as it can be. So come on in, and I'm going to show you what you're going to need to tie up your drop shot. So really, it's pretty simple. All you're going to need is your drop shot hook. This is called a standout hook. It looks a little different than your standard drop shot, but the idea is when you tie it up, the hook is always facing out, so you're not having any trouble with your baits falling down. I like to use a tungsten sinker, usually a 1/4 ounce. Fishing in that 15 to 20 foot range. Anything less than 15, you step down to an 1/8 ounce usually. And then for the bait, 99% of the time, I'm just fishing a standard KVD Dream Shot, usually in green pumpkin or a ghost shad color. Seems to be the best for me. So, to tie up your drop shot rig, you're going to start on this particular hook, running your line through the bend. Not through the eye of the hook like you would on a standard hook, but through that bend there. And you're going to want to get a great deal of tag lines, because the more tag line you tie with, the longer you can make your drop on your rig. So what I like to tie is a uni knot for this. So you're going to want to come through, give yourself all kinds of slack, as much as you can handle. Now I like to take my pinky finger, go between the two, and then run down to the hook. So we got the line, pinky finger in there. And then I'll pinch above that. And then with the other hand, I'll just drop that tag in. Slide your hand up the line, and you're going to want to pinch it again closer. So now you've got your line doubled up between your two hands here. Then you're just going to want to complete the loop. You're going to come around with this tag end. Now you got a loop, your two lines on top, single line on the bottom, and you're just going to want to wrap it between your loop here. Wrap it over your double-ended lines. Usually go 4 or 5 times. And then all you're going to do, just like anything else, wet it, and then just slide it down tight. Then you're going to grab your main line, slide it all the way down to your hook. So now you got your knot in that bend. And what you're going to do for this hook, to give it its signature standing out presentation, you're going to take your tag end and you're going to run it through the eye of the hook, going down. So you go down, and what you're left with is a hook that when it's tight, it always stands out to the side. Now, to put your sinker on, I like to use the ones with the clip on it. They seem to go on and hold pretty well, but what I do is some extra security is I'll just tie a little overhanded knot down here at the bottom of the line. Just a standard, just a little overhand knot. Then run your sinker over that knot. Then just pull everything up into the nook of that clip. You can go through and shave off some of that tag end if you don't want it out there, but it really doesn't matter. And that's your basic setup. So you got your hook up here. When there's pressure applied to the line, it will always make that hook stand out to the side. And then for the bait, 90% of the time we'll just nose hook the bait. And really to do that, it's just a matter of going in through the front of the worm and just nose hooking that. So what you're left with is a hook that's going to stand out to the side, which means that bait is going to stand out to the side and will give you all the action in the world whenever you are fishing with it. So the last piece of this is your rod, your reel, and your line. For the rod, we're just using a standard 6'9", 6'10" medium action drop shot rod, something with a soft tip on the end but still with some backbone. For the reel, we like to use something pretty small, so a size 10 Revo Premier. And then for my line, I like to use a 10-pound braided main line with about a 20 to 30 foot 6-pound fluorocarbon leader line. So you get the no stretch, you get the strength of the braid, but you still get the invisibility properties of the fluorocarbon. So that's really all there is to it. That's how I set up my drop shot rig. Usually the first couple of times it takes some practice to get it all figured out and to see how much tagging you need. But really that's about it. So now Steven's going to talk about the application, how we fish it, where we fish it, and just really what you got to do to make sure that this rig here is putting fish in the boat for you.
Okay, I'm using this rig he made up. This got this teardrop tungsten weight, this standout hook. I mean, I've never really had much experience with these hooks, but I think I'm gonna go out and get me some after what he showed me, because that's new for me too, what he showed you all earlier. But he's got that on there. It's a Dream Shot Green Pumpkin, Perfect Plastics. Strike King makes them. That's one of the more versatile colors that you can get is green pumpkin. That's in any bait, really, not just drop shot baits. Right here, this would be good. Most of the baits I'm gonna show you are shad representing shad, but you can go out and you can fish worms. You can fish different soft plastics on drop shot. They're not just shad imitating rig. Okay, first thing we're going to talk about is where to fish it. Now, actually, we're going to talk about when. Really, this bait is like, a jig is a 12-month out of the year thing of when to fish. You can fish it 12 months out of the year. Sometimes it won't do as good as sometimes out of the year, but you can catch fish on it all year round. This is pretty much a bait that is similar to, it don't fish like a jig, but it's like a jig in times to fish it. This is pretty much a 12-month out of the year bait. You might have to fish it a little different throughout the year, but you can catch fish on about all year round. And sometimes it won't fish as good as other times in the year, but it will pretty much fish all year round. You can fish it shallow for bed fishing, like a less presentation for bed fish maybe. It works good because it's a shad on a bed. Works good then. You can fish it deeper in winter and summer for deeper bass. Suspended bass is what it usually works for, what I'm started fishing it for in the winter time. And then you can fish it for deep bass, and it's just a really good all-around bait. It's hard to beat. I ain't never really fished it that much, and a lot of people around here that I know don't really fish that much. But if I start fishing as much as I do a jig and a shakehead, I'd say I could catch just as many fish as I could on those baits. Okay, talking about how to fish it, like we were talking about earlier, you can depict how long you want your secondary line here to be to your weight, because how long, that matters. Your weight's going to hit the ground and you're going to keep your line tight more than likely, and it's going to keep your bait suspended off the ground. So that's really, that matters how deep you want to fish it, how shallow really. So you just got to choose, as simple as that. You just got to choose how deep you want to fish off, or how high off the floor you want to fish it. So that's really just as plain as that. Just make it as long as you want to. And how to fish it, really, the only way that I fish it, I ain't fished it much, so don't take my word on it. The way I fish it, you can fish it vertical. That's about the only way I really have fished it. just straight up and down in wintertime for suspended fish. Just, you know, you let it down till it hits bottom. Keep your line going out. I might have demonstrate on that pole, but I ain't going to. When it hits bottom, line up tight, keep it tight, and just barely twitch your rod. Don't even move it like you would shake your hair. Just barely twitch it. That's really the only way I fished it, you know, to the bank and out. I guess just keeping it your line tight the same way and just kind of shake it until you fish it out. It's the only way I've fished it, and I mean I've caught fish that way, so it works. I don't know if I was fishing it right or wrong, but it works. I've caught fish off of it. I'd say the biggest fish I've caught off of a drop shot would probably been like a 3.5 pounder. I mean I ain't fished it a whole lot, but I have caught some fish off of it. But really that's all I gotta say about how to fish it. So I mean, if you got different ways, comment, or just because I kind of like know how to fish it if you fish it a different way. So okay, where to fish it, that's pretty self-explanatory too. If you're new to bass fishing, I mean, some of it's common sense and some of it ain't. Some of it you gotta know. I mean, if you're going down a bank, a 45-degree angle bank or something, transitions, something like that, if you're a bass fisherman, you know what to look for. But if you aren't, this code applies for any type of bait fishing. Just look for stuff that you would think fish would be at. I mean, like there's a lay down right there and a bunch of brush right there. I mean, that looks like a good spot to me, just common sense wise, that there's probably a bass hanging around there. It might not be big, might be a monster, but there might be a bass or some kind of fish hanging around there. Just pitch your bait over there and maybe, but some of it, I ain't gonna like go through a speech of what to look for specifically, but any bait, any soft plastic that you fish the bottom imitating a shad, swimming across the bottom, a crawdad hopping, a worm crawling, just look for anything that you can fish, any kind of bottom bait. I mean, if you're on a bank and it's just like a 45-degree angle bank all the way through, I mean, just cast it out there just as you go down the bank. I mean, if you cast right here and then you roll down the bank 10 foot, cast right there, there's a good chance a fish in between there is gonna locate your bait on any one of those casts. But I mean, if you're somewhere where there's a lay down here and it's bare bank on the other side, cast by that lay down, see if you get bit. If you don't, keep on going down. If you see something that is different in the bank, if it's like same here, then changes different, then same here, cast right there, and maybe you'll pull one out of there. It's just more or less learning how to fish it. I can't teach somebody how to fish it talking, but you just gotta learn some things on your own, and that's that applies for a lot of stuff in fishing. But really that's all I have to say about word fishing. Some of it's common sense, some of it ain't, but just fish it. Okay, thanks. Okay, friends, thanks for tuning in with us. Hope you like this information. I know we're usually kind of a comedic show. We try to put on a show, but there's some things that needs to be told, and there's some God, serious George here, man, or curious George. But thanks for watching. Tune in next time, and we'll see you later. If you want to, go ahead and watch one of these videos. One will be on the bottom, one on top. You know how to do it. Like and subscribe if you ain't already, and we'll see you next time on South KY. Bassin.